8 years since Happy Feet 2, George Miller returns to direct his Oscar-winning motion picture event of the year, Mad Max Fury Road. After a long absence, Miller abruptly decided to continue his iconic Mad Max series, picking up the franchise 36 years from its original. Fury Road is darker and grittier, with unbelievable heart-stopping action sequences. George Miller homes back to his original roots, showcasing his style and version of a dystopian world. Initially, he wanted to make a Mad Max film as an animation, coming straight off the bat from the Happy Feet films. He said, "I was always interested in anime, and I wanted to tell a Mad Max story in anime. But to be perfectly honest, the stories felt too strong." He figured that because his children had grown up, he could go back to his more violent and tempestuous character of Max, and step away from his children's films.
My mum did say that she thought after the Babe and Happy Feet that I was calming down, and then she saw Mad Max Fury Road and said, "George, what's happening?" I figured out was when I was young, I made Mad Max movies, and then I had kids. You have kids, and you stop going out to movies as spontaneously as you can, and you're watching a lot of family movies. So that was sort of in my head, and now my kids have grown up, I can go back to Mad Max.
Fury Road, as visually and practically immersing as it is, had major setbacks in its original production. Miller intended to create Fury Road years before its 2015 release. Location problems in Australia pushed Miller behind, due to flooding, and the September 11 attacks on the Twin Towers also pushed production behind, as this crashed the Australian dollar in a matter of hours. Miller even stated that the film was greenlit 3 times and failed 3 times. It just kept coming back, and here we are. The original trilogy clearly distinguished the character of Max. However, the 4th installment, Fury Road, confused many audiences as to the relation of Tom Hardy's character and where he fits in the story. Miller explained it simply as, there's another episode in the saga of a character who was pretty archetypal, the wanderer in the wasteland, basically searching for meaning. He took many inspirations to create his lone character, streaming from samurai films to old westerns, and he likes to explore the outsider character. He finds these stories most interesting and compelling. These types of characters include Mumble and even Babe from his past works. George Miller wanted to go all out in Fury Road. He wanted to do as much as possible practically. The realism Miller brings to the screen is spectacular. If it could be done practically, he would do it, only enhancing scenes with visual effects if it was completely necessary and/or added to the storytelling. He used Olympians and Cirque du Soleil performers as many of his stunt team. The tone of Fury Road takes us back to his original work in the first Mad Max films. George Miller, in some way, created his own genre in 1979 and defined what a car-driven action film would look like. He uses basic themes of storytelling to communicate his message and character arc. These include the hero's journey, settings, and point of view. The visual style Miller was after was not to desaturate the screen because of the apocalypse, but rather enhance its color. He even wanted to produce the final film in black and white, but this was later done in its digital Blu-ray release. The use of orange and natural earthy colors are prevalent. He generally sticks to one particular style and color palette in each of his works. This can be seen in the Happy Feet films, consisting of mainly blues and whites. George Miller creates truly inspiring and iconic pieces of film. The odd jokers always mention his wide range and scope of stories, the most humorous being, how could the director of Mad Max also be the mind behind Babe and Happy Feet?
Oh yeah! Now go.
Seeing Miller's shift in style and tone throughout his career is an eye-opener to the potential and limitless range that filmmakers can produce. A dystopian wasteland run by fear and lack of hope. These were many themes Miller wanted to explore, as well as the issues of drought and water shortage. Miller makes his audience see his version of a world that has lost its mind, and makes us consider if it could ever become like that. He briefly mentioned once that he heavily exaggerated the current world we live in today. Miller questions humanity in the future. Will we eventually evolve into savages, or have we already?